Hello, 1, 2. Can you hear me now? Hello. I am reading output or audio being output. Can I get confirmation from the chat before I go too far? Huzzah! Outstanding. Okay. Let's wow, cool. So I did this huge big spiel, and I'm just going to recap most of it because I don't feel like re-saying all of it. But basically, I just subscribed to the VIP Hack the Box stuff because their service is awesome, and I use it a lot, and it's super great, and they deserve some money for all the hard work and the infrastructure and all that. So since I subscribe to that, I can start streaming their retired boxes, which is super exciting. I've gotten a lot of requests for Hack the Box stuff. Obviously, I don't want to, ruin scores or anything and give spoilers, but since they're retired, I can go ahead and do some walkthroughs. I've seen some other people do walkthroughs of retired boxes, so we can have a little bit of fun with that. Given that I can now do these videos, I wanted to start with Blocky for a couple reasons. One, it was just retired, so it's a pretty fresh box. And two, the box doesn't actually require any exploitation at all to finish. It's all about fact-finding and information gathering, enumeration, and just pivoting through the box, kind of living off the land, which is the kind of, I know it's not as flashy as like dropping O-days left and right, but I really like that kind of hacking. I think it's fun, and it's easy. It's harder to detect this kind of hacking as well. If you're just using the tools on the box and not dropping malware left and right. So, without further ado, I've got my TMUX session here. What I said before when you couldn't hear me is that I like to keep a separate window in the background where all my connection stuff is, so I can look, if I think something's wrong with the VPN or something, I can flip back there. But it's not in the way, so I have my 3 panels here. So we'll start off with Blocky is 10.10.10.3.7. So we'll go ahead and we'll drop an Nmap on that. Just a default, whatever Nmap with the output of Blocky fast port, or we'll just call it fast. We'll let that get going. Obviously, we often know that there's a port 80 running on these boxes, so we'll go ahead and just check it because, these are, oops. We don't actually need burp for any of this, but I had burp running, and that's just the way it is. So often we can guess that Hack the Box is running, most Hack the Box boxes are running some sort of web server, so we can kind of get an early jump on it while it's doing its thing, which it already finished. So we have a FTP, we got an SSH and HTTP, and then some closed thing. Maybe there's port knocking available or something silly. I don't know. We can also do Nikto scan just to, kind of be complete. And we'll start off like a Derby scan as well. Just to, hey everybody, Boo-foo, welcome. So we'll get these going just kind of in the background while we browse the site. And so if you're familiar with WordPress, you've seen a lot of WordPress, right off the bat, this is a default WordPress theme. So we kind of already know what we're dealing with here. Blocky Craft, it looks like some sort of Minecraft web server, for a Minecraft server maybe. Look through here. Site and server is still under construction, so don't expect too much. Currently developing a wiki for the server and a core plugin to track players' stats and stuff. So that's some useful information, that there's potentially some plugins that we can deal with either for the WordPress site or for the Minecraft server, or both. Perhaps it's a plugin that interacts with both. We don't know, but there's also a wiki. So just kind of guessing while all these other scans run off. Let's maybe see if there's /wiki under construction. Okay, so this does exist. but what we do see here is interesting, and it's tempting often when you're in a pen test or a CTF or something to blow through content. And what I mean by that is you load up a web page, you don't see any immediately obvious vulns, and you just go, right? But it's important to start reading stuff. So here we're looking at the site and it says, well, we've got a wiki and we've got a plugin. And it's like, okay, that's cool. So let's see if we can enumerate on that. Let's see if we can find the wiki. Obviously, Derby is cranking away and Nikto might find that too, but we can just throw a wiki on there and see if it works, or wiki dot and then the host name if we're, whatever. We can try some common stuff. And again, we don't see any input fields here. We don't see any place for command injection or SQL injection or authentication bypass or any crazy stuff like that. We haven't even looked at Burp yet to see if there's cookies or something random, but we got good information out of this. And the information is that there is some sort of plugin. Again, it could be for Minecraft, it could be for WordPress, or both, that's interacting with the database. So obviously WordPress needs a database, but now we're seeing that this database is kind of more multifunctional. It's used for more than just WordPress. And the more a database is used, the more it can be abused or, open or whatever. But yeah, so we've seen that. Let's take a look and see if Derby hasn't found anything. Nikto hasn't found anything. Excuse me. So let's see what else we can find. Oh, something moved. Nope, nothing useful. Okay, cool. So another thing, we got pretty lucky with the wiki guess. So let's see if we can do like plugins maybe. And now we're seeing some interesting stuff here. So there's a grief prevention 1 dot something, and we got a Blocky core .jar. We're going to go ahead and download both of these. Now, I'm not super familiar. I'm not a Minecraft player. I did run a server for my wife and some of our friends in the past, and I'm pretty sure that this grief prevention is a common one. We can do some Googling to find out. But if you remember on the wiki, we got a new core plugin. So Blocky is the server, right? I mean, we're BlockyCraft, and it keeps referencing core on these two sites. So this core plugin could be pretty interesting for us. So we're going to go ahead and move Blocky core. Nope, Blocky core. Yep, downloads. Blocky core. Yep, to here, and then we're going to move the grief prevention to here as well, just so we can kind of mess around with it. Now, jars are essentially just archives. So we can, I believe, just unzip them, right? Might have to look this up. Yeah. So we unzip them, and it unzips here. For reasons we could have made an output directory for it, but it doesn't really matter. That's why I keep everything in its own directory so it doesn't get too messy. But we can cd into com is where the code is going to be. My first plugin. So this is a very, this is probably this person's first time dealing with this sort of stuff. So we'll cd into my first plugin, take a look. We got a blockycore.class. So now it's not all ASCII, but there's some ASCII. So let's do strings blockycore. And so I don't know if this pops out at you like it does me, but we've got root and then this thing, which very much looks like, this looks like login credentials to me. So localhost root there. It's probably, from what we know about the site, from what we read, this is probably login credentials for the plugin to deal with the database, right? So we also have a phpMyAdmin. So what do you want to bet that if we go into phpMyAdmin that was found by Derby, we can log in with these credentials. So let's take a look. Oop. Huzzah! Okay. So we can log in. Once again, we have not exploited anything. The most we've done is done some really noisy recon with Nmap and Nikto and Derby. But if you recall, other than using this result for to know that they have phpMyAdmin, we haven't really even used any of this stuff, right? We could have very easily made it as far as we have so far without doing any of this stuff. But this is, I want to do completeness. I kind of want to show you the process I went through to find some of this stuff. And if we look at 10, 10, 10, 3, 7. So within, so we're kind of diverging here. We're going to diverge into two paths. I'm going to continue along in this kind of like roundabout way that I've solved things that I ended up doing it, because this actually took me quite a while to finish. But at the same time, I'm going to be talking about how we could have done this without any sort of you know, of this noisy recon or anything. So here we notice that this was updated by Notch. You know, obviously not the real Notch, but you know, a guy who seems to be pretty stoked about Minecraft, and has named his user Notch, which is a possible username, right? Well, now that we're in the phpMyAdmin, we can actually just look at the WordPress users. So we've got a Notch and we've got a user pass. So what do you want to bet that if we what do you want to bet that if we put that there and then we vi word list, we're going to copy this guy. What if we John word list equals word list hashes? It's not it. Interesting. Okay, well, that's fine. Can we just maybe word list equals user share word lists? Is it word lists rockU.txt? Okay, we'll let that crunch on it for a bit. But so we've got a hash here. We got a username, login, Notch. So we've got some information, kind of cool. We can look around and see if there's anything else, but this is really just a pretty default setup for a phpMyAdmin install and a WordPress install. So not too much to be seen here. Now, if we go back, let's see. So if we go back to our Nmap logs, Nmap, we also see there's a FTP SSH along with this. So let's see if we can get into this FTP system, or this FTP here. So 10, 10, 10, 37. Let's try anonymous at bar.com. Login incorrect. So they don't have anonymous logins created. So let's do this. What happens if we try to go in as Notch? Oops, that might not be the right password in my clipboard. Okay, so here we have some password reuse, okay, and the FTP. So we've got a known user, or a known password here, a known username, and we've got password reuse. So what happens if we have password reuse? Well, if you talk to your parents, you talk to some coworkers, you talk to everybody, and you ask them, okay, do you reuse passwords? And inevitably they say yes. And then you ask them, where do you use the same passwords? And they pretty much give you the same answer. Well, I use it everywhere, right? So can we notch at 10, 10, 10, 3, 7. Is he dumb enough to do this? And the answer is yes. So again, I want to reemphasize this. We have all of this extra stuff. We have all this information. We have, trying to crack passwords, trying to do all kinds of stuff. We could have looked for WordPress exploits or anything that could have hurt the server or changed configurations or anything. But really, we found a password. We tried it with the users that we knew about, and we got in. So just quickly to kind of go down a rabbit hole here, or show you a rabbit hole that I went down. Since we have phpMyAdmin access, one thing we could have done to get a shell is we could have gone into the WordPress users, changed Notch's password here, and then done like a WordPress admin upload, like shell upload, and we can go through that real quick. So if we let's see, let's see, WordPress uses MD5. Let's see, WordPress password hash generator. We'll just set it to foobar. 2 week. What do you like? My babysitter or something? So we will click this guy and edit. And go. Okay, and then we should be able to log into, if we go here, and do WP login. Oop. We'll do Notch, foobar, 1, 2, 3. Huzzah! Okay, so we've got login to the WordPress site. We'll get into the Privesk in a minute, but I kind of want to show this rabbit hole because I guarantee you a lot of people went down this rabbit hole. And I know this because when I was working on this site or this box the first time, this hash here, this hash was changing like every 5 minutes. There was people all over this box and they're just resetting so they could get in. So now that I'm in, what can I do? It's clear that I have admin access. I'm user 0. So I can deal with plugins. I can mess with settings and all kinds of stuff. So let's jump into MSF console real quick. In case you haven't done this before, it's kind of neat. If you get login access to WordPress, you can actually get a shell. So we'll search for WordPress and where is that damn thing? Like plugin upload shell or something like that. There it is. So we'll use this guy. Show options just to see what we're dealing with here. We'll set the password to. So this is authenticated, by the way. You do need admin access, but we're just demonstrating how admin access to WordPress can translate to shell on the box. Set our host is 10, 10, 10, 3, 7. Set username to Notch. And just exploit. Well, it will let the default payload and everything work itself out. And we've got a shell, so we can get UID, get sysinfo or sysinfo maybe. So now we've got a shell. I am here to tell you that other than just getting a shell to kind of look around, this shell actually does nothing for you. The Privesk method involves getting that user account, the Notch user account, and the way you do that is through that password reuse. So, I spent probably an hour and a half, like poking around in this, trying to run commands through the MySQL server. So if you're not familiar with that, you can actually do like something like this inside of MySQL, and sometimes it'll run it if it's set up, we'll say, incorrectly. But there's no reason to keep poking around with that. I just wanted to demonstrate getting that shell if you haven't done it before. So here we are as Notch, and let's take a look at what Notch has, right? There's a Minecraft box, Minecraft thing where he's probably got a server here. If we cat start.sh, yeah, so he's setting up his server. It's got some band players. Let's cat the band players, see if there's anybody in there. Oh man, that would have been a good good little Easter egg, like put his friends' names in there or something. Oh well. So what we do notice here is there's a sudo as admin successful. That doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does give us a pretty clear indication of a possible root method. And so for that, we'll just do a sudo -l, and it asks us for the password, which we have. So we'll just go ahead and grab that. And we'll paste that in there. And if you notice, we can run all commands through sudo. The thing here is that we need his password. We need Notch's password to be able to do the sudo. It's not like it's just passwordless do anything. So we needed to get that plugin. We needed to find that to get his password for this, and then discover the password reuse. So from there, we can just do a sudo -i. Since we already typed in the password once, we don't have to type it in again. Sudo -i is an interactive sudo shell. You could also just, sudo su, and it'll do the same thing. It does slightly different things on the back end, but it has the same effect. The tack on the end is su, just sources the profile and everything. So the root has its own path and everything. So you'll notice this if you use like Red Hat or some of the other more conservative server Linuxes. If you have a non-root user and you try and do something that's in sbin, for instance, and it won't let you, so you su and then try and run it, you still can't because the path is sbin. Your path doesn't get updated to include sbin even though you su'd, so you need that tack on the end of it to update your path and everything. Slight tangent. But now that we're here, we can, we can cat the root, but we're not going to. Yeah, we're not going to cat the root because you want to do this yourself. So yeah, that's Blocky. We had a pretty good time, I think. I really enjoyed this box, even though it was extremely frustrating with all the rabbit holes. I downplayed the rabbit holes here because I knew how to do it, but man, I'm telling you guys, it's I spent probably 4 hours on this box when it really should have taken maybe half an hour tops. If I would have actually read the site, if I would have really put it together that it's like, oh, it's talking about plugins and wikis and databases. The path forward is pretty clear if you actually read and find out what the box is doing and what its purpose is. So anyways, that's Blocky. How long have we been streaming? About half an hour. Let's see. Do we want to do another one? Let's do another quick one. It's been forever since I've done lame, so I might stumble a little bit, but we'll give a little bit more here, just because it's been a while since I've streamed and I don't quite want to finish quite yet. So yeah, let's do lame. So we'll go ahead and exit out of this. And again, I know that I mentioned this before, but I'm able to access these retired boxes because I have the VIP Hack the Box. And if you enjoy Hack the Box, I highly recommend you also throw them some money. Running this kind of infrastructure is not cheap, and putting together these boxes in this system this is one of the slickest services out there, and most of it's free. So if you want to follow along with the boxes that I'm doing, or you want to follow along in the videos, I recommend you toss them some money. I don't work for them, and I don't get paid by them or anything, but toss them some money. You can follow along with these too. So we'll make their lame, and we'll get my other boxes, or my other tmuxes over there. And lame is 10.10.10.3. So we'll go ahead and nmap this guy away lame fast. And we'll check out what lame is doing. Maybe it doesn't have a web server running, at least on port 80. It does not. Oh man, is this going to be like really lame? Okay, so there's no web server running. It's got 22 running. What OS is this? Oh, it's Linux. Interesting. Huh. Okay. So let's cool. So let's do we'll do an nmap. Let's do a quick nmap of just port scan of this. 10.3 OA lame port. Just make sure we're not missing any ports. Maybe there's something hidden in a non-standard place. And then we'll do like an automated script, the default script plus service detection just on the specific ports that it shows us. In the meantime, we can maybe do some manual banner grabbing. So let's do 10.3 VSFTPD. Now that backdoor command execution. Ugh. Exploits mostless backdoor that was added to the archive. Oh, that's funny. So if we do an MSF console, search VSFTP. I guess we're wondering if this is really that lame. Exploit completed, but no back session created. Okay, that's fine. So nmap, we're going to do service detection. We're going to do automated scripts. I'm going to do ports 21, 22, 139, 445, and 3632. 3, and we'll do a let's see. let's see what happens. So 10, 10, 10, 3. Okay, so I can log in. Okay, so I can log in, but it doesn't work. Server is configured. Oh, let's see. The server is configured for anonymous only, and the backdoor code cannot be reached. But I did reach it. Okay, interesting. So maybe there's something funky going on with that exploit, or I don't know. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Okay, that's fine. So let's see. Anonymous is allowed. FTP. Such a specific version, though. So 632. Oop. All right. Weird. So what if we nmap, and we'll script enum smb star 10, 10, 10, 3. Oops. Or is it? Nope. Nmap script smb. Yeah, I thought that was right. Oh, is it star before the, like, no dash? What? I could have sworn star worked. Script smb. Fine. We'll see if we can enum some shares first. Enum shares. Yeah, yeah. So the invite code is the first. Did I seriously misspell SMB? Ah, wow, cool. Thank you for pointing that out. There we go. Yeah, so the first challenge in Hack the Box is hacking your own invite code. So that's where you want to go, and good luck on that. I can't stream or do anything regarding that challenge because it's still live and no spoilers, etc. But if you start looking around the site, I'm sure you can figure it out. Let's see here. Probably didn't need to do all of them at once. Oh man, that's gonna take forever. All right, let's close that because that's going to take forever. We don't need to do that something that heavy-handed right off the bat. We're going to do so enum for Linux will get us like versions and stuff like that. Let's do enum for Linux. We want, let's do simple enumeration and okay, we'll just do simple enumeration for now. 10.3. So enum for Linux is a pretty good tool. I've used it a lot for enumerating SMB servers on Windows to figure out like what version of what version of Samba they're running and stuff like that. Should have probably printed this out to a file. And most of these are pointless because it's not running SMB on a Windows server. So things like trying to get like RID accounts, group policy, password policy, all that stuff is going to be more or less useless. So while this is running, I'm just going to start going through the stuff that we saw earlier. So we've got some shares, it looks like. This looks like Samba 302, which is interesting. That was probably in our Nmap scan where we did the service enumeration. We also have, this looks like our Etsy password, essentially. I mean, it just shows us all the users on the account. Wait, is this on our box? Is this on our box? Because why the hell would there be MSF admin on that box? that's definitely not our box. We have so much extra crap on here. Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Yeah, there's no... Okay. Whew. I was like, what? Yeah, I actually really like the invitation challenge. It's a fun little challenge. So we're gonna grab this just real quick. Let's still doing his thing. Let's quit out of that. So we're gonna less lamb targeted Nmap. Yeah, so see, we already had this version, so we can do a search for this maybe. Okay, another Metasploit script, which seems likely given the difficulty of this box. Stop it. So I mean, difficulty on this box is pretty low, right? So another thing that's interesting. So I talked to a lot of people about why. I talked to a lot of people about how to do like CTFs and whatnot, and you know, CTFs are fun and they're close to hacking, but they're different, right? You can metagame CTFs. And so a lot of times I talk to people about, well, if it's a live CTF that's, you know, a limited time CTF, then, you know, think about how much time you're putting into a specific challenge and realize that they're expecting you to solve many challenges within the time period. So, you know, if it's going to take a long time, maybe you're on the wrong route. Obviously, this is not a timed CTF, but one indication that we do have, aside from the score, is if you look, the percentages of root and user are within 1% of each other, which means that we're probably not going to be having super hard prove-esque issues here. So let's see if we can... no. What? How? What is that? Oh, is this... Did I mess up something in my... Huh. I don't know what that is. That bothers me. Okay, well, I think we're almost done here, but... So we'll go back into MSF console. Max Musterman, yes, these will be uploaded. They won't be... they'll be added, yeah. What is happening here? Oops, that's the other window. I don't know what it is. Always visible on... Oh, it's like... That's what it is. Ah, okay. Now I don't have... I don't know what all that was, but we're back. We're working. Don't worry about it. Oh yeah, so Carl Sagan, nice. The that's the wallpaper for Symphony of Science, which is a music project by a person named Melody Sheep, and it's basically auto-tuned science talks and lectures and stuff from you know Neil deGrasse Tyson, Carl Sagan, Richard Feynman, etc. And it put to music, electronic music. I like it. It's fun. And do I prefer VMware over VirtualBox? I do prefer VMware over VirtualBox. It seems more powerful. It seems more universal. It's, you know what, to be honest, it seems more universal. A, B, I'm more used to it at this point. So my I use it for work. I have VMware Fusion on my work laptop. I used to run ESXi, I guess they're called vSphere or whatever now, clusters, like for in a past life as a systems engineer. It's just what I'm used to. But honestly, every time I use VirtualBox, it seems slow and sluggish, and it seems to slow down my box a lot. And my current box runs, probably 3 or 4 VMs at any given time, and I don't generally spin them down while I'm gaming. So it just seems to work for me. Okay, so we're back. We're searching for Samba. Or should we do maybe 3.0. So here's this user map script that we found. So we'll use this, and I don't ever like to try anything without reading about it. So let's read info. Command execution vulnerability in Samba 3.0.20, which we're on, through this release candidate, which we're not on. So that looks good. Using non-defaults configuration option, which I believe, by specifying a username containing shell meta characters, attackers can execute arbitrary code. That's kind of cool. And if we search for I'm searching back through, I believe we had some sort of user mapping that we found. No, I guess we didn't. I thought we saw something to the effect of username map script in our enum for Linux output, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So anyways, cool. Let's see if we can set our host 10.10.10.3. Oops, set our host 10.10.10.3. Is there like a, used to be a, check, right? Check. Module does not support check. That's unfortunate. Some do, some don't. Sometimes when you're running dicey stuff against, live targets or whatever, live infrastructure, running check is good because it'll kind of give you an idea of whether or not it'll work or not. Writing sockets, all this looks good. There we go. Here's our command shell, which is nice. Any second, we'll get our interpreter shell back. Come on. You can do it. Literally anytime now. And this is often while I'll, instead of, so here all we did was configure our host. And a lot of times I'll set the payload myself and configure the payload because I tend to not get this crap where it doesn't know what the hell's going on. We're going to abort session. We're going to do that. So we're going to, let's see. So, payload, Linux, whichever. Oh, interesting. Can only do certain ones. which I guess is fine. That's such a neat thing about Metasploit too, is that it'll only set up. Is it because I don't? Oh, I'm an idiot. It's because we're not. I was expecting a interpreter prompt, which is obviously silly if we're not using interpreter. So you can see here we're not using anything. So interesting aside to that. So I was in my first Net Wars several years ago, and I was taking, I believe, 504, which is incident response and incident handling. And in it, we had this brief primer of Metasploit, and John Strand was my teacher, and he said, remember, if you get a shell back, you often don't get a command prompt in Linux. And he said it like 6 times. He had to have said it like 6 times. And so later that night, I'm in Net Wars, and I came across this mobile phone. Part of the challenges back in the previous version of Net Wars included getting a shell on an Android phone. And so I launched an exploit. It looked like it worked. Similar kind of stuff where it said it's like, session open, blah, blah, blah. And I sat there for probably damn near 45 minutes doing this, hitting escape and then exiting out and going, why isn't it working? I don't know why it's not working. And it took me about 45 minutes to realize it's like, well, what if I just throw a command at it? And it worked. So anyways, that aside is done. Good thing to remember, not everything will give you a prompt back. So, try ID sometimes. Anyways, obviously we got root. So we could, which directory are we in? So if we go into root, there's our root.txt. So we could submit that, and that's how you do lame. Anyways, we've been streaming for about an hour now. We got 2 boxes in. I think this is probably a good time to stop. I will be, immediately after I terminate the stream, I'll be getting this video up for the on demand. So let me anyways, it was fun. Hopefully we can do this again. I won't be doing one next weekend because I'll be at the Tournament of Champions, the Net Wars Tournament of Champions. So the weekend after that I should have another stream. So until then,